Welcome to the Property Profits Podcast. Thank you so much for jumping on. Let's get to it. So I'm going to give you my script. I'm going to tell you how I talk to a seller whenever I get on the phone with them. And I figure this is super valuable because people reach out to me all the time and they have no clue how to talk to a seller when they get on the phone. Seller answers and they go and they freeze and they haven't put in the reps. They don't know what to do. Write this down or something that you're comfortable close to it so that you can not have to think about this part and you could think about the deal. That's the important part. You need to be so confident when you get on the phone that you were able to think about the deal, know if it's a deal that you want to take down, that you want to contract. I was on a Facebook Live earlier. This lady needed to sell her property. Unfortunately, she had to sell retail. The position she was in, I couldn't do it. I said, sorry, I can't help you. She's I really need, I can't help you. Because at the end of the day, we have the power, we're the buyers. And unfortunately, we can't help everyone. But in order to get to that point, I have to get to that point. You have to get to that point in the conversation. You have to build like, know, and trust. They have to feel like they like you. They have to feel like they know you. And they got to trust you to give you their business. Cool, so here we go. Ring, seller says, hello. Hey, it's Travis, how's it going? And they're gonna say, oh, it's Travis. It's Travis. I'm with Exclusive Housing. I'm calling you back about 123 Main Street. Are you still interested in selling? Or if you're using mail, you don't have an address. They called, it went to your system, whatever. Or they called and you're calling them back. This is all calling back. So the way our mail's routed is it goes into our system. It says the phone number. That's it. Maybe the caller ID picks up their name. Hey, we're calling you about the offer we sent you in the mail. Are you still interested in selling? Oh, what address? And you say, give me the address. I'll pull you up in my system. Here's the thing, two things that you got to remember about mail. You got two different types of sellers, okay? You got one that just gives you the address. They want to sell. And you get to the meat and potatoes and see if it's something you can help them with. Or the other one's, how'd you get my address? This is a scam or whatever, right? How'd you find me and all this crap? The hard people, you say, hey, look, we sent hundreds of these postcards out, hundreds of these checks, whatever out, all this marketing. You aren't the only house that we're marketing to. However, we are very grateful that we got you on the phone. If you're interested in selling, we would love to make you an offer. Then shut up. They're gonna come around. If they wanna sell, they're gonna come around, all right? One more big thing while we're at the intro of this thing, match their tonality. If they answer low decibel, you talk low decibel. If they're talking just normal like this, you talk like this. If they're like this, you talk like that. Match tonality. Also, we did PPC, you usually have an address. Mail, you don't. Like I run with Facebook ads, I don't. But Facebook ads, I'm like, hey, it's Travis. How's it going? Oh, it's going good. Da, da, da. All right, cool. I'm calling you about the form you filled out online to sell your property. Is it a good time to talk? What's the address? You type in the address. You mind telling me a little bit about the property? Let them talk. Don't interrupt. I have a closer. He does good, but he's still under my wing and he wants to interrupt. I got onto him today. I'm like, hey, bro, I was listening to some of his calls. I'm like, stop interrupting the seller. They're like, that's 3-2 and this shape and the bricks cracked and we love our grandmother. And they're just saying, he's like, all right, great, but what do you want for it? I'm like, hey, bro, let them talk. Let them tell you their life story. It's your job to figure out how are you going to help these people? Why are they telling you all this stuff? You need to know why they're selling. It's never about price, ever. Think about anything that is sold. It is not about price. It's about making a win. How can you help that person? Help me help you. When you can realize that in sales and you can get on the right call, magic happens. Don't get me wrong. You have to get the seller that's going to talk to you. Sometimes you can make people talk, but it is like rolling the dice, getting that call. But it's not like 1 out of every 100. It's like maybe 1 out of every 8 or 9. You have a good phone that answer. You have a really good conversation. If you have a really good conversation, you have a really good chance at making an offer and figuring out a win situation. You have to get to that point to do it. Tell me about what's going on. Let me know about the property. You mind telling me some information about the property? Whatever makes you feel comfortable, but you need to get them talking about the property and their situation. Once that's done, If they have not discussed the roof, the foundation, the plumbing, the electrical, ask them, is there anything major that we would need to do? Like the roof, the foundation, the plumbing, the electrical. They're gonna tell you, all right? All right, so let's just say you don't have a mental picture of this house in your head yet. Let's just say I walk into this house. Besides the roof, foundation, electrical, plumbing, what do I have to do to it? Because you know I buy properties to fix and flip them or to rent them. We already talked about that earlier. What would I need to do? They'll more than gladly tell you. Here's the other thing. A lot of people, I don't want to say they lie, but you know how you hear sellers lie? They do. They fib. They're like, oh, everything's good, it needs minor. That roof got a hole in it. That's not minor. It's part of the game. You need to get the best picture you can of the property and be pulling comps. When I do this, it's because like I'm scrolling through comps when I do that. Be pulling comps while you're on the phone with them. Use PropStream, use Redfin, use Zillow, use whatever tools you have, use all of them. Use your data, come up with your best number that you think was gonna work with that property. And I like 3 offers. I might not give all 3, but I'm like, what's gonna be a cash offer? What's gonna be a novation? What's gonna be a seller finance? I say how much you want. If it's closest to the seller finance, like meaning it's closer to retail, and it doesn't need a ton of work, I'm gonna pitch that right out the gate. If they don't like that, I'm probably going to Novation because that's my higher one than my cash. And then last but not least, I'm going to cash. However, I will use my cash offer as an anchor a lot of times. So I'd be like, look, I'd be at like 100,000, but I know that won't work. So why don't you just do the 200 in payments? I'm just talking here. Why don't you just do the 200 in payments? Oh, I don't want to do payments. Okay, why don't we do like the 140 Novation and be good there? What does that look like? Excuse me. But that's pretty much the gist of how I like to have these conversations. And I just really wanted to dive into this and go over that. So let's go from the top. Just pretend it's a normal seller. Hey, it's Travis. How's it going? Okay. Are you looking to sell your property at 123 Main Street? They're going to be like, yeah, we've been, This is perfect situation, right? Cool. Mind telling me a little bit about it? They're going to tell you all about it. Let them talk. Does it need anything major? Roof, foundation, plumbing, electrical. It needs this and that and the other. Okay, cool. How much you want for it? We want this. By the time you get to how much do you want for it, you should have an offer. You should have those 3 offers written down that me and you went over, and you should give them the closest one to that number they gave you, and then work backwards. Use your anchor and work backwards. I hope you got a ton out of this episode. I hope it answered some questions that you have. If it didn't, leave some comments below. If it did, leave some comments below in the show notes. Please leave an honest review. Refer this to a friend or a family member. Let's get the algorithm pushing this thing out. Thank you so much. Until next time, we'll see you then.